What's poppin', people? It's Dante, currently behind the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Check it out, we got sunlight today. Extremely grateful for the good weather. And yeah, today I'm just going for my morning walk, you know, surrounding myself with beauty. You know, I think this is just a great way to start the day, you know, where you set your body in motion without preconceived notions. And yeah, I find that coming to an elevated view, coming to a space where I have, you know, this fresh air, trees, the breeze, and just open space generally, you know, where I can look up and see the sky. You know, I'm not surrounded by looming skyscrapers and tall buildings, but I can actually view a horizon. I can look out, and beyond the horizon I see water flowing, I see a waterfall, bridges, rock formations, hills, just like a wonderful and beautiful landscape that really does inspire me and keeps me happy. You know, how to be happy. Step one, go outside. Step two, just be. You know, maybe to be happy is just to be outside. And I believe that this is where humans thrive, just generally. And yeah, maybe inside is where souls go to die. But when you're moving your physical body, you exist outside the passage of time, where there is a past, there is a future. But through movement and through keen observations, through the power of photography and the creation of art, you affirm life in every moment that is fleeting. And maybe one of the most important things that I remind myself is that I will die, right? Memento mori. You must remember that you will die. And so because of this inevitable fate of the human being, our death, yeah, how will we live our lives each and every day? You know, maybe each morning when you wake up, it's like a mini birth, and every time you go to sleep, it's like this mini death. And so for me, photography allows this connection to the mundane. It allows this connection to the world, to the universe, to the life that's around me in modern cities, you know, such as Philadelphia, or wherever I may be, you know, wherever the road will take me. And, you know, perhaps to become closer to life through my curiosity is my ultimate goal in life. And yeah, what a better way to do it but by snapshotting my way through it. You know, to photograph, where maybe the truth, maybe God is within the light, and maybe following the light and crushing the shadows is a good notion to consider as a photographer. And so how to spend our time while we are alive and how to live to the fullest. Yeah, maybe first and foremost, we should consider our physicality. We should consider our physical bodies. You know, maybe what separates us from the insects, the ants, the rats, the squirrels, the animal kingdom is our ability to stand upright, our bipedal nature to walk. You know, where maybe we are like animals, but we are also like plants. You know, we're like these flowers that need sunlight, that need water, that need fresh air, that need oxygen, that sort of natural sort of space to breathe and to grow and to flourish. And so maybe like plants, human beings have similar needs, you know, sunlight and water and some fresh air. And so yeah, maybe like plants we are. However, we are also animals. We're creatures. I actually think that the movement of climbing a tree is really difficult, especially trees like that where you have to grapple your arms around it and lift your body up, and maybe finding ways to just engage with the physical world around you in order to increase your strength, your power, your courage, and all these things is just a great thing. And so like one simple way I've been doing is by wearing barefoot shoes and walking long distances. And I believe that the use of these shoes have been strengthening my legs, my feet, my calves, and the simple act of walking actually is enough to increase your fitness. And I think that we all just have to start somewhere. And so like by climbing a tree, you know, or just like going for long walks, like these kind of things I believe are overlooked in the health and fitness sort of space, you know, where you don't need to knock out like all these reps and like all this kind of nonsense, or even lift like extremely heavy weights. I genuinely believe that, you know, there's a place for simple approaches. And so I'm looking at this sculpture here. It's so beautiful. I absolutely love this sculpture. I feel like it's just an elegant pose, and yeah, just surrounding myself by beautiful things, beautiful sculptures all around me, these revolutionary heroes. Yeah, maybe we can become heroes too. And yeah, maybe in modern society, a lot of people identify with the victim. Maybe the hero versus the victim concept is something that is played out often. And yeah, I say maybe it's better to identify with the hero. You know, I believe in hierarchies. You know, I believe that there is just natural inequality in the world, and that's okay. Because maybe equality ultimately leads to totalitarianism. Maybe equality is what leads to communism. You know, thinking of China, thinking of Germany, thinking of, you know, Italy with Mussolini, like maybe equality is bad. But yeah, while we are alive, yeah, maybe a good goal is to just observe as many beautiful things as you can before you die. You know, for the more beautiful things I surround myself with, the better, honestly. It's just like a really simple thing. And so maybe ignoring the bad and embrace, you know, ignoring the bad, ignoring the ugly, but following the beautiful and surrounding yourself with that, you know, it's just a good idea, especially in cities that are much more gritty, like Philadelphia being this East Coast, like real city, like it's a raw, gritty city. But we have these beautiful spaces where, yeah, you can find yourself surrounded by natural things, beautiful things. You know, maybe there's an objectivity to the beauty of nature that, you know, this kind of like setup here of the variety of plants and the different flowers and the colors and the trees and the formations in these gardens, it's very much like art, you know. You know, I believe it is art, you know, the act of these plants being positioned where they are. There's this harmony within these natural things. Check it out, my my water bottle popper. These small freaking water bottles, you just slug it back in like a single sip. Oh man. Yeah, maybe the problem with a lot of health these days comes from the liquids that we consume. You know, considering sodas, considering alcohol, considering sugary beverages from Starbucks, or like whatever the case. Like I think that these are like the ultimate poisons. You know, what's interesting actually is if you consider the term restaurant in French, you know, the etymology of restaurant meaning to restore or to refresh. And so I believe in like the 16th century or something in France, you know, the first restaurants were quite literally these places where you would go to consume like a healing broth or like a cheap and affordable soup. And maybe within broths, you know, thinking of bone broth, you know, maybe bone broth is really good for our bodies, our health, you know, our mind and our body, you know, our mind, body, spirit, our mind, body, soul. You know, maybe there's something about this notion of the restaurant and considering it to be a place to restore, you know, is interesting. You know, thinking of the etymology of the term. You know, maybe a lot of restaurants, you know, just think of like McDonald's and the fast food places and Burger King and whatever the case. You know, these are not places where you go to be restored. And so I'm reminded of my time in... See, what's weird is you see these like posters everywhere for these like revolutionary communists of America. Yeah, so maybe we're kind of just asking for control, but alas, we have a Bitcoin sticker. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe we're in need of some sort of sound money that isn't reliant on government control. But yeah, I think actually that, look at the birds flying, beautiful. I'm gonna go for a walk on the trail over there. But yeah, I think actually of my time in Hanoi, Vietnam. And while I was in Hanoi, Vietnam, the first thing that stood out to me about the people, you know, as a street photographer, I'm interested in humanity. I like engaging on the streets with people, you know, photographing people, observing people, chatting with people. You know, the first thing I recognized was how healthy the men and the women were. You know, how healthy this place, you know, the people within this place were. And yeah, I don't know, I think maybe the fact that the restaurants that you'll oftentimes see, you know, these Vietnamese people in and eating in are pho restaurants, you know, pho being this healing broth, the bone broth, the beef. You know, maybe there's something within pho where it becomes this sort of healing food. You know, it really does restore, replenish, and fill you with energy and power, as opposed to a lot of the restaurants in modern cities, especially in Philadelphia, where we have like cheesecakes, sandwiches, hoagies, subs, pretzels, cheeses, like all this kind of like whiz cheese and like just whatever, like pizzas and just junk. But like what is astonishing to me is like every morning at 5 a.m. people are outside doing some sort of like fitness, calisthenics, yoga, different things. Like the women have like a section where they're like dancing, the men are doing physical you know, like body weight training, whether they're doing dips on the benches, push-ups and simple pull-ups and things. But they all like they're elderly, but they look like they're 20. And it's insane to me. Like, I'll never forget that. Was like the first thing that I realized about my time over in Hanoi. It was just how healthy the people are, and it reminded me of the food that they consume. And you know, despite the fact that they are smoking cigarettes, a lot of the elderly men, they're smoking cigarettes. You know, they're smoking cigarettes, but they look extremely healthy. They are extremely healthy because they're lifting and they're doing all these physical things. Maybe it's simply the food source, you know? Not that I don't believe that smoking cigarettes, you know, is a good thing. I think that it's bad, right? But the fact that these elderly men are smoking cigarettes, jacked, look like they're 20 years old, it's kind of confusing to me. But it made sense once I recognized their food and how healing the qualities of the food were. And so maybe the only real restaurants in cities that we should consider have healing broths. Only consume restaurants that have healing broths, like pho. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. Maybe that's the only restaurant worth considering. Man, I'm so passionate about the outdoors. I think just ever since I was a little boy growing up in Andorra here in Philadelphia, we had the Wissahickon in our backyard, and you know, I would spend my time exploring in the woods, building teepees with sticks. bridges with stones, climbing trees. I remember there would be these like vines that would come down from the trees, and we would swing and just have lots of fun and spend all day, you know, just under the sun in the woods exploring. And I just think that it's a great place to be, and to have this sort of balance between the urban city and nature. Yeah, it's just a critical aspect of my everyday life. And yeah, maybe health is wealth, the privilege is being outdoors, and luxury is the experiences that you have in your everyday life. Where maybe in modern cities we're essentially living in prisons with Wi-Fi connection. You know, don't prisoners have computers and Wi-Fi? You know, considering boxes, you know, we kind of box ourselves in. We live in a shoebox, we work in a boxed office building, then you're sitting in a boxed cubicle, and then you're looking at a boxed computer screen, and then when you're going for your lunch break, you have a box or a rectangle, you know, your phone, and you're getting ping, 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 like notifications. You know, when I was recently having pho, you know, sometimes I like having pho with my uncle. The man across the table was eating the pho. I don't even know how like he was doing this, but he was eating it while just like glued to the phone the entire time, like zombie mode. And to me, it's just an alarming behavior pattern that we're adopting. And you know, the more that I consider this, yeah, I do not believe that it promotes human thriving. You know, maybe to be outside is where I thrive, and when I'm inside my soul, it slowly dies. And so my ultimate goal in life is to explore, to embrace beauty, to create art, you know, to continue practicing photography, essentially endlessly, you know, no matter where I may be. But you know, going back to this notion of the box and food, you know, you see these advertisements on the bus stops or the newspaper stands, etc., in the city, where you know, you see like this celebrity, I don't even know who this person is, like Keke Palmer apparently, or something. Like, I don't know what they do, or if she's an actor, a musician or something, but she's advertising some sort of food program that comes in a box, and then there's like boxed meals within the box, like breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of thing. And I almost think that this idea of having like 3 square meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, has been like the ultimate scam in society, just like generally. You know, there's nothing wrong with living life that way, and, you know, considering breakfast or lunch and these things. But I actually think that we've just been programmed to go along with this idea of breakfast being the most important meal of the day, where I find that when I'm fasting in the morning and I don't eat breakfast or lunch, I feel 10 times more sharp, more effective, powerful. You know, once I eat, if I'm eating in the middle of the day, you just become sluggish, like, oh, I just want to take a nap. And it's not a good feeling to eat in the middle of the day, considering the foods that we consume, you know, being these like fast processed foods that come in these boxes that are pre-made. And I think that the problem is, you know, these are actually being produced, these like massive, like, you know, delivery meal things that are already made for you. You just throw it in a microwave, whatever, like the TV dinner kind of thing. I think that they're being made because people are boxed in, you know, on their boxes, you know, emailing and phoning in and whatever they're doing in the digital worlds for work. And because of that, there's no time to even like sit down and like make a meal and enjoy it anymore. So with the lack of time, yeah, this is where you find these ultra processed foods, fast foods, and restaurants that do not restore, but are just quick ways for maybe just driving more consumerism, driving more just consumption generally, and like sparking economic activity. But yeah, I don't know. My thought is like the food pyramid's weird, because at the top of the food pyramid on the Harvard study I saw last year, I remember seeing, it says that you should eat meat sparingly. But the more that I eat meat, the more powerful I get, the better sleep that I get, the better I feel. And I think ultimately the less that I'm dependent on these foods in cities, the less that I need to eat breakfast or lunch. And so maybe there's like some hidden scam in there, right? It's like, eat less meat, you're just gonna be more hungry. Then you're gonna wanna eat the rest of the food pyramid, the grains, the carbs, the breads, the pastas, and like all this shit. And just keep consuming. But if you do the opposite of what these highly reputable university studies and medical professionals tell you to do, it seems like you're way better off, which is just a weird thing. I don't think it should be like that. And you know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. Honestly, it doesn't matter. I think we all just have our own individual choices to make, and that's kind of the ultimate freedom of the United States. It's like we have the freedom of choice. We have the freedom to decide how we want to live our lives. You know, we have the ability to decide whether or not we want comfort, whether or not we want to spend time indoors or to spend time outside. Like, we all have the choice to do what we please. And I guess just as an artist, I follow my intuition and what makes most sense for me, like individually. And I just think that's a good place to be, to not get suckered, to remain skeptical, to just question everything and just wonder why, you know, just simply why. And from there, maybe by following the light, you will find the answers. Time to, I guess, I don't know, it's kind of cloudy, but I should still take my shirt off. Yeah, I'm gonna sunbathe, walk with my shirt off, because yeah, maybe you know, even they say like the sun causes cancer or something. It's like, okay, give me the cancer then. You know, I'm just gonna absorb as much as I possibly can. Because my theory is that the body is like this human battery, and maybe the sun is the ultimate source of power and is the first step to charging your soul, charging your body. You know, and then you eat, you know, later in the day, and then you're ready for the next day, and you sleep, and it's like on repeat, just charging your physical body with the natural things. And the good thing about vests is that it just has lots of pockets. Like, I can store my sketchbook, my Ricoh, my GoPro, and like different things in like zipper pockets and stuff. So yeah, maybe the vest is just a good thing for the sake of photography and just carrying things that you need. But I think, you know, if it just fits in the pocket, if it fits in your shorts pocket or like a vest pocket, yeah, it's good. You know, not having the camera dangling on your neck is kind of convenient and nice. So yeah, just enjoy the sun.